Morgan Rogers. Now, for those who've been living under a rock and missed it, Morgan Rogers, brilliant season with Aston Villa. No two ways about it. We've all watched him. I mean, just in terms of pure numbers, the headline ones, Barts, to have 27 goal contributions across the Premier League and Champions League. I mean, just absolutely brilliant. And I want to be careful on this. Sorry, 22, isn't it? Because I'm taking into account the FA Cup there as well. But I think he's an absolute incredible player. The age of 22, the talent. In fact, if you tell me he's not an incredible player, I'm going to tell you probably got your doctorate from Clown College and sort of coloured it in with Crayola, in all honesty. But we will run the numbers on Morgan Rogers, and I'll try not to get too high as Barts goes through them.
I think this is the kid that I think I've chatted about in several forums, that he's a good player. Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's a good player. His numbers, I have to be honest though, his playing time is a bit weird.
Yeah.
It's sort of, I mean, let's just look at the last 4 seasons. He was at Bournemouth and he played, he was at Bournemouth and he only played 2-3 months, which he must have got an injury for. Blackpool for 22-23 at 1,200 minutes. Middlesbrough for 1,300, about the same, no increase. Went to Villa at the back end of that season, or sort of probably January, and did about 638. So that's in total just short of 2,000 minutes. And he's gone up to 2,700, probably finishing about 3,000 minutes this season, probably. Nice. So that's a big jump this season, having made a little jump last season. So yeah, that's okay. He started, if you look at where he's been though, he's sort of moved around a bit as well. It's, for a kid, he's sort of I know some of his youth football and that, but he had sort of, West Brom, City, got out on loan, Lincoln. He's moved around, and he's got a bit of a grounding, should we say, in the Championship, which can do things to you as a youth player. Aerial duels, just because it's interesting, sometimes helps us out defensively. 20% this season, has been as high as 46 in his first season with Villa, but probably if you look across the board, he's in and around probably about just short of 30 as an average. So yeah, okay. By the time we've done that, possession. Where's he taking most of his touches? So attacking third, he has got the majority of his touches, which is what you want. He's having about 4.5 penalty box touches per game, which, okay, that's okay. We would probably want our attackers to be a little bit more, but if he's playing Dom roll, I think he's going to play on that sort of 14 half spacey kind of in and around the options we have. We might ask him that to be a little nudge up for us, but we can come on to that. Carries, he has got progressive distance of about 94 per 90 this year, so 80 in total. Again, that's progressively improved, so that's good. Yeah. Total distance 165, progressively improved. Receives it. Progressively receives it about, as again improves, it just short of 6 this season, was just under 4.5 last season. So that's passes per game. So okay, that's okay. If we look at his contribution to the to what in terms of expected assists, he's at 0.22, 0.14. So okay, but if we try and combine that up. So, where's that stat? The stats which is going to be here, top of that. So it's a 0.42. I think Cody was around 0.54. In terms of that, I was getting up about 0.6. So, yeah. But again, that has improved, right? That's progressively got better. A little bit. First season, Villa was down, but he's gone up again. So I would suggest that he is improving as he goes through. So yeah, there is a lot of elements to like about this lad. If we look at his percentile charts, defensively, I think it'd be fair to say this might be an area we need to learn maybe how to play in a Liverpool setup. Because for tackles and interceptions, he's not particularly high, 33rd percentile and 12th percentile. But then if you look at it, well, maybe he's doing the reactive stuff, but he's in 55th percentile and 41st. So he's not doing whatever he's doing. He's not doing a lot of that off-ball work. You know, if you look at him compared to Dom or any of our other wide forwards, they would be performing better than that. Between the boxes, he's got a green for successful take-ons. Great. 76th percentile. Touch in the penalty box. I did touch on that. That probably needs to improve. He's on a 50. It's just below the 50th percentile. So there's over half the players in the top leagues in the last year have got more penalty box touches than he has. He's not receiving a lot of progressive passes, so that suggests he's either not being picked by his team, which would be strange, or he's just too deep to receive that, or they're playing it high enough too close to him to get over the 20 meters. So there's some things there which could be a bit of style of play, could be some other things as well. So yeah, it might not all be down to him. Passes and carries, a bit like the lad we just looked at, actually does a bit of both, but it's both just below 50th percentile for both. Okay, so that's not saying it's bad. It's just that he is still a kid. He's still maybe learning his trade a little bit about what he can do, and he's showing that he's still doing both to a fairly good degree. But there are 50% of players doing more progressive passes, more progressive carries than he is. Okay, pass completion 73%, and that is the 30th percentile for attacking mids and wingers, which is on the low side. So it does depend where you're going to play this kid. Okay, he seems to be taking risks, but I mean 73%. If you're comparing him with like Mo or Cody or Diaz, okay. But if you're comparing him with one of our midfielders, that's not okay. So it just depends on where the club seeks to plug him in. Passes attempted, that is a bit. He is not passing the ball. 14th percentile. So he is attempting just below 30 passes per game. So that basically says that 85% of players in his position in the league attempt more passes per 90. That's quite a big difference. We are a passing side. We're not generally we have carriers, but we generally like to pass it like Slot would say, kill them with the pass, right? So you would need to increase that passing thing. If you look at what he does in the box, I mean, there is some green assists at 68th percentile. Okay, that's only saying a third of attackers are better than him. And assisted goals are in the same sort of ballpark. Shot created actions, he's not creating a lot, 25%, he's in the 25th percentile at 3 game. So yeah, I think there's a lot to like, but there is some elements where you would hope so you're going to play attacking football, but they also have a very different set of tactics. They can play a mid, they can play a low block, right? It's not always set up to get the best out of midfielders or attackers, right? Yeah. And I think Villa are a great side as well. It's me not knocking them, please. I just think they are a very system-orientated team. They're often asked to do things that may not be to the best attribute of that team. I'm trying to be kind and fair to the lad. If we compare, you asked me to compare him to Dom. Dom's in red here. To be fair to Morgan, he does actually measure up quite well to Dom on some of the metrics. So things like expected assisted goals, he actually outperforms in terms of assists. He's very close on non-penalty goals. And he outperforms them on actual non-penalty goals. He outperforms him on take-ons, and he outperforms him on carries, right? So Dom is better at him, as I suspected he would be, in terms of the defensive actions, though. Aerials, dribbles, tackles, interception of blocks, and clearances. Dom outperforms them all. So all of that bottom defensive box, Dom is better than him. And equally, as I said, and midfielders have a higher level of pass completion. There is a vast difference between Morgan's passing ability and Dom's. as it shows in his metrics, I'm not saying in
Yeah.
real life they probably can both pass the ball, but in terms of what he's actually being asked to do, passes attempted again there's a huge difference. There's almost 4 bands of a wagon wheel between Dom's volume and Morgan's volume, okay, which is probably opportunity. So yeah, I think if you wanted to compare him to Diaz,
Yes, yeah.
Diaz again does outperform, but the difference is not as great. Yeah. So if you look at passes attempted, and we're comparing AM with AM, there's only one and a bit difference between on the percentage wise, whereas with Dom it was 4. Pass completion again though, Diaz, that is about a 3-fold difference between the two players. The Diaz has a higher pass completion than Morgan. Progressive passes is very similar. They're in the same wheel. Progressive carries, there's about a 1 difference. Take-ons, the same. Progressive passes received. We know Diaz is a bit of an outball for us at times, and he takes it and he carries, right? Morgan clearly doesn't have that role for Villa because there's a big difference there. Defensively, Morgan does actually outperform Diaz for clearances and for blocks, for tackles, interception, and aerials won. Diaz is better than Morgan. Goals, Diaz is coming to a purple patch. There's 2 rings between him and Rodgers. Okay, but Rodgers has got more assists, which might shock a lot of people, than Diaz, and he's got more expected assists than Diaz. So yeah, there is some shot creating actions. There is a huge difference between the two as well. So Diaz is in the outer ring of percentile, and as I said, Morgan is in pretty much just over the first. So there's about 3 difference between the two. So yeah, I think they've actually got more of a similar profile than Dom on Rodgers. But yeah, as I said, it depends where you see this player playing. He does have a skill set. Yeah, it's just where you want to put him. Interestingly, Bailey, Kluivert, and Rashford are all in similar players to him in the last year or so, and 2 of those are his club mates. So yeah,
I think the thing with Rodgers is, and I think this is why for me it's so uniquely hard to profile. And even just speaking to a few Villa journalists around this, they'll say the same. Has he played there? Yes, he's played attacking midfielder for Emery and their setup. Yes, he's played wide left. Yes, he's played wide right. At times, there's been 1 or 2, and people will be surprised by this, but as Villa journalists are saying, when there's been without Duran and without Watkins, almost like a false style 9 as well. So you've just got massive versatility, which, as we talk through this, Bars, I would say is a massive selling point for Morgan Rodgers. Number one, that versatility and the fact he can play so many positions. Maybe it almost counts against him a little bit in the metrics and building up stats in a position, shall we say, in that regard. The other one, which I can't escape from, is almost when you look at his FB ref chart, you could think, well, that doesn't seem too impressive. But 14 goals and 13 assists in all competitions. We talked about how well he's done in the Premier League and Champions League. He's also, I don't think we can undersell this. We've watched him. You can see this with the eye test as well, people. He's a physical monster, isn't he? For a young guy, his strength. He will almost a little bit like, for me, and people will jump on this, but just as an analogy, a Mane style, that acceleration, that power away, that push off from players in that regard as well. So with all that into the mix as well, because people will look and say, well, that FB ref doesn't look too impressive, but all that will come into the analysis, won't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he is a good player. You know, there's not, I'm not trying to devalue him. I think it's sometimes when you play a lot of positions, it just affects some of it, because for you to get an FB ref profile in a different position, you have to play a certain amount of minutes, right?
Yeah.
But when you're in that grey area, which he clearly is, it can affect the profile you're actually in, because you'll be doing things that everybody else in that profile won't be doing, right? And you might not be doing this to vice versa. So it does have an impact. I mean, he has played an amazing amount, looked at all competitions. He's played a lot of minutes. You know, it's not just a little bit here and there. He's played a lot. He's played in a lot of competitions. I think it's fair to say he is become a pretty key player for Villa. Across all minutes, playing time this season is 4,000 minutes. It's a lot. It's a hell of a lot of games. He's started 50 games. Yeah, so that's also a huge increase from where he started. So as I said at the beginning, I've just combined all leagues now, but it's just, he was at just over 2,000 minutes last season, and now he's at over 4. That's a huge improvement. That's a huge amount of minutes to come up. So, yeah, I think his goals and assists, his expected assists, they're all positive, right? These are all things. I think it might just be a case of you've got to fit him in and find where to play him and where he fits in the system. But no, I think as a young kid, which he still is, I've got that right, at 22, he's at that age. He seems to be doing the minutes. He's played in the Premier League. He's left-footed, which is always good for us to have. I haven't got the physical metrics on him. Maybe you have, but I would suggest he could be a good utility player for us. If we have a set plan for him of he's going to play here, that it would be interesting to see where we think he's going to play. Because taking it on 0.44 is not bad for goals and assists. It really isn't. In that amount of minutes, it's just I'm okay signing utility players, but I do think we also need to make sure we're improving the first 11 in some areas. But I think there's a bit of both. So yeah, that's probably what I'm commenting on.
Yeah, it's interesting because people will say, I mean, like me, I kind of steer towards that. I think he can be an absolute beast on that left. I really do think like closest of what we've seen with the physical metrics. We talk around Semenyo before as well, but similar that this kid I think has got a higher ceiling, younger. We've seen what with the eye test. I really think he could be an absolute force for us on that left-hand side. Others will be suggesting in the middle, just behind, like a 4.
Yeah.
I know you play a 4-2-3-1. It's different in that sense, but maybe in a Dom style role, people will say that. People will even say could cover Salah then on the right potentially as well when we expect Chiesa to leave as well. But honestly, as we're looking at it, people, I would be ecstatic if Morgan Rogers came to Liverpool. It is right for Barts to call out all those stats on a hell of a talented player. And whilst they made the wagon wheel, as we say, doesn't always look sensational, maybe it can count against him, that versatility. Keep that in mind.